This phone is 412 days old. That's just over 12 months. That means just over a year ago, the Xiaomi 15 was released. And recently, Xiaomi has updated the operating system to the 15 to be HyperOS 3. Now it's as close as ever to the newest flagships from Xiaomi. However, the newer Xiaomi 17 has roughly a 10% increase in stats across the board on average compared to the 15. But the 15 is £300 cheaper. So it begs the question, is it worth getting last year's flagship and saving £300? Let's find out. So we're going to compare the Xiaomi 17 to the 15 in terms of specs, cameras, performance, just to see if the extra money is worth it. But before we do, I just wanted to take a quick look at the design. So looking from the back, the Xiaomi 17 looks very similar to an iPhone, and I don't hate it. I actually do prefer the look of the 17 over the 15. And it's mostly because of the camera bump being the same color match. It's not that I don't like the black, it definitely has its own unique look. It's just I prefer to have the camera bump matching in. Now, if we look top down, they do look incredibly similar, and the same story goes for all of the sides. From the bottom, as you can see, it's basically identical. The power button and the volume rocker in identical spaces. Now, what I do like is the labels that are mandatory, especially in the UK on the phones. The 17 has it printed on the side, which is really small, very hard to see, and not very obvious, which I really like. Whereas the 15 has it on the back. So if you don't have a case covering it, or if you have a clear case, you're going to see it all the time, and it looks a little bit ugly. Now let's start with the screens. So both screens are absolutely gorgeous and stunning screens. They're very, very similar spec-wise. In terms of the pixel density is the same, the sampling rate is the same. Pretty much all of the specs are very, very close, if not exactly the same. The only difference is the peak brightness is about 10% brighter on the Xiaomi 17. Now let's take a look at the cameras. So there are 3 cameras on both phones, and all 3 cameras are 50 megapixels on both phones. So the differences are very minimal. Now there are new sensors in the Xiaomi 17 opposed to the 15, but the lenses, if not are the same, are very, very similar as well. So let's start with the selfie camera. So looking at both of these selfie photos, very similar both of them. If anything, I want to say that the 15 actually looks a tiny bit sharper, and the colors look a little bit more natural than the 15. Both of them are using Leica's authentic camera filter, so they should be basically very, very similar, if not the same. But I want to say I actually prefer probably the look overall for me in the 15, but the overall photo with the colors of the background of the plant and also the sky, I probably prefer the 17. Now taking a look at a video of me just walking up to a plant and then letting it autofocus, the colors look so much more vibrant on the 17. Once again, I've got it on the same Leica filter, which is authentic, but the colors just pop so much better on the 17. Now, even though I want to say maybe the closeness in terms of realism comes maybe to the 15, the 17 still looks really realistic. It's just a little bit more vibrant maybe than in real life. Now we're looking at a 5 times zoom in shot of this white flower, and straight away I want to say the better image to my eyes is through the 17. Now it is once again a bit more vibrant, but not only that is the detail looks a lot cleaner in the contrast, whereas the 15 looks a little bit washed out where it's not very vibrant, and also the colors of the white look a little bit flat, whereas the 17 it's popping. It looks really good, really clean. And it's a similar story in this image as well. Once again, the warmth comes from the 17 and the more authentic colors comes from the 15. And here is a quick look at a nighttime shot in an arcade. I love the look of both photos, but once again, the 17 wins it again for me just because of that contrast. And also this seems more natural, truer colors than the 15 in lower light. It just handles it so much better. And here is another wide angle shot. This is of the Apple Store, And really similar, I want to say maybe that the 15 does a slightly better job in terms of the outside of the building, but in terms of the lighting on the inside and the clearness of the images that are like the posters from Apple, the 17 I think does a better job. Now, both phones have a great set of cameras, but I want to give the edge maybe to the 17 just because of that low light shot and also some of the others in terms of how vibrant they were. They just looked like a better image in general, but both cameras on both phones, very good. Now let's talk about the battery. So for charging, once again, we're seeing a 10% increase in the Xiaomi 17, where it can do 100 watts charging wired, whereas the Xiaomi 15 can do a maximum of 90. And in terms of battery capacity, the 17 has 6,330 mAh internal battery, whereas the 15 has 5,240. So that's more of a 20% increase rather than 10. So it's actually a little bit smaller, the 17, but it has a bigger battery. So overall battery life is also better in the 17. So the rest of the specs are incredibly similar, if not identical to each other in both phones. With the AI and operating system, they're the same. With the fingerprint reader and also with the face unlocking, both the same. And also with the connectivity, they both go up to 5G and they both have Wi-Fi 7 compatibility. Navigation like GPS, once again, basically the same. In terms of audio, both have 4 mics and they have the same sort of speakers. And like we already mentioned, the screens are very, very similar. If not, the 17 is slightly brighter, but it's hard to really notice that in the real world use. And they also both have an IP rating of 68. And they both use the Snapdragon 8 Elite processor. It's just the Xiaomi 17 has the 5th generation of that processor, which of course is faster and just better. Looking at Geekbench 6 scores, the Xiaomi 17 is roughly 10% better. So I think we can safely say getting last year's flagship today is not a bad idea whatsoever. It's only roughly 10% slower than the newest generation, but it still offers all the great features that you'd want. The only caveat is how much saving are you going to have buying last year's phone. If you're getting a 10%, 20% saving, it still might be worth getting the newest just because it has all the best features, all the best hardware, and it will last you that little bit longer. But if you're getting into the realms of the 30, 40, 50 or above % saving, that's when it's a much bigger conversation. In regards to the 15, for me personally, I would still lean towards the 17, just because I prefer the look of it. It is obviously more powerful, and I do just prefer the slightly smaller form factor. Also for me is a slightly different scenario because when I first reviewed this on release, there was a deal on Amazon where you could buy this for £750. This is £700 now. So only £50 more got me the newer phone. That deal has ended, so if you guys want to check out the best deals on the latest tech, make sure to subscribe and check out my latest videos when they go live because I usually share the best places that are genuine and valid to get them from. Now, if the Xiaomi 15 was 50% off and £500, that is a much harder question. Let me know in the comments down below, would you pick this up over the 17 for £700? And then if that changes, if it's £500, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and share this video. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and I'll see you guys next time.